Hi, this is Bishop Fidel, and I'm here to announce an unsacrament meeting, an unmeeting because we're not all meeting together, but a sacrament meeting because we are going to borrow from some of the traditions in our culture and have somewhat of a discussion and a talk introducing one of the new families in our ward, the Chattertons. And so I would like to invite them to be our Sunday sacrament unmeeting speakers. And we're particularly interested in something I've asked them to talk about, and that is the upcoming Pioneer Day. But first, I'm going to turn the time over to them to introduce themselves and their family and where they live and how they got here and the history of their whole lives in a couple of minutes. So welcome to the Highland Ward, to the Chattertons.
Thank you. We are so excited to be here. We are the Chattertons. My name is Sarah, and this is Brinley. Brinley, you want to tell them who you are? Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Brinley. I really like riding four-wheelers.
So this is Brinley. She is 4, and she said she really likes riding four-wheelers. Our family loves to spend lots of time outside, and the girls just got four-wheelers a few months ago, and they love riding them around and going on adventures. And this is Addison.
Hi, my name's Addison, and I really like gymnastics.
This is Addison. She is 5 years old. She's going to be going to Viewmont, and she's very excited to be a kindergartner. And she said she loves gymnastics.
And my name is Doug. Sarah and I have been married for 8, almost 9 years now. And I am originally from Idaho. And
I grew up in Murray my entire life. So we're excited to be back here. We, again, have been married 8 years, and we were in Farmington for the majority of those years before we decided to move down to Murray. I work at Murray High School at the Child Care Lab, and I love it there. That's one of the main reasons we decided to move down. Was Doug was very passionate that he wanted Addison in the neighborhood schools. So since I work at Murray High and wanted Addie to go to this district because it's so amazing, it just made sense for us to move down.
I've worked for a general contractor now for a long time. We do commercial construction, and I'm an estimator for them.
Doug and I met when I didn't want to go to a single adult ward. I was very against it. I wanted to go to church just for spirituality. But of course they called me as the stake single adult rep. So I was doing that, and I con all my mission companions to come to the activities with me. And so I had them come to an activity with me, and they said, okay, that's fine if you'll come with us to an activity the next day. And lo and behold, it is where I met my eternal companion.
Yep. We were up at Brighton Ski Resort, and I saw a beautiful blonde girl. She was a girl back then. Beautiful blonde girl sitting there, and I used every way I could to get up all the guts I had to go talk to her, and it took some convincing, but it's the greatest thing that's ever happened.
We lived happily ever after. So we're super excited to be here. We've loved moving into the neighborhood. We've had so many nice people come over and introduce themselves, and the girls have felt really accepted, and we go on walks quite a bit with our dog Chase, and all in all, we're really excited to be here in this ward.
Tell us a little more about, you mentioned a mission, so I'd like to know a little more about mission experiences and just some of the things you did as you were single that maybe helped prepare you to be a family.
Yes, absolutely. I have said that being a missionary was the greatest thing I have ever done to prepare myself for being married and having a family. I was lucky enough to serve in the Canada Edmonton mission, which is just in Alberta, straight up, so there wasn't even a time change. And it was one of the best decisions of my entire life. I think it shaped who I was. I always tease that it taught me that it's not always about you. Sometimes it's about the work you're doing and what's more important, and sometimes you have to put aside being right to be able to make what is important work. And I think that works in our family and our marriage, that we work together and realize the most important thing is that we are an eternal family, and that we work hard every single day, and there are ups and downs, but we know who we are and what our plan is, and we work together to accomplish it.
I served in Brazil, and I loved it. I have a great love for the Brazilian people, and the testimony that I was able to grow and garnish there obviously will be with me for the rest of my life.
We hope our girl serves a mission someday.
That'd be great.
It'll be interesting to see what the mission makeup looks like in the next little while, won't it?
Yes, it will.
That it will.
Okay. And for those of you in the ward who don't know where they live, they are in the house that is between where the Danseys and, man, I shouldn't do this because I draw a blank, but Lisa and Brian Hardman live. And
They've been great.
so they're back fence guardians of the church building. And hopefully right now you've had very quiet neighbors across the back fence.
It's living right by a church turns out is the quietest thing in the world.
Great. Well, let me have you take turns. Doug will pick on you first, but could you talk a little bit about Pioneer Day and how that has played into who you are as a member of the church and a person, and a little bit about your testimony with that in mind?
Absolutely. So when Martin Harris, at the end of his life, when he returned to the church, he moved back to Utah. And he moved to Clarkston, Utah. And my mother, her family is from Clarkston, Utah. So my great-grandpa actually had the opportunity to interact with Martin Harris and had the opportunity to hear Martin Harris bear his testimony of the Book of Mormon and being one of the 3 witnesses. And at the time, Johnny was my great-grandpa's name. He didn't understand the feeling that came through it. And he wasn't able to explain it until electricity actually came to Clarkston. And when he was wiring up his house, he got electrocuted. And he stopped and he said, that's what it felt like. It felt like electricity running through my body to hear Martin Harris bear his testimony of the Book of Mormon. And that same property, we still go up and we ride they ride their 4-wheelers on that same property up in Clarkston still. And I love the pioneer history that's there and the pioneer history that we can look back on something as simple as Martin Harris's testimony that influences our family directly. And I'm grateful for that and grateful that we can remember that every 24th of July.
I come from a family where my mom's side of the family were members their entire life, all the way back to the pioneers. But when my mom married my father, he was not a member of the church. And so when I try and think of the pioneers that have shaped my life, I think of my dad. And they were married, I think I was maybe 6 or 7 when he converted. So there was a while while they were married where he wasn't, and it was hard. His parents were very stout Catholics and were not enthused that my dad was marrying a Mormon. And as silly as it is, they heard all the weird traditions and different things were speculated about him that weren't true. And so he cleared that up, and they were slowly working towards accepting my mom when my dad announced he was getting baptized. And they had a really, really hard time with it. But my dad, knowing that it would damage relationships, really stood for what he believed in and has been a huge example to me of pioneer work. And I think sometimes we think of pioneers as people who lived long ago, but my grandparents had come to visit and went up to visit my dad's brother who lived in Utah. And my dad and us went up there, and my grandpa was giving my dad a hard time and said, you know what, those Mormons, I just don't know about them, what's going on. And he said, look at this guy over here, that is his neighbor, and he is sitting there and he is shoveling the snow and doing all this nice things. And he said, you tell me, what type of wine does your neighbor like so that I can go buy it for him? And he turned to him and said, that's the bishop of the Mormon church. And my dad laughed and said, thank you so much, we're gonna leave right now. And he saw that as a huge blessing. And I think every time we stand for righteousness and every time we do service, you don't know the effect it has with the type of missionary work that you're doing.
We love living. Sarah's parents live over on 7th West.
Yep.
And we love living so close to Grandma and Grandpa. They really are. Frank Buck is an amazing member of the church, and it's hard to even think that one time he wasn't, and that he's a great example to us and our little girls.
Well, I think in our own way, everybody has a conversion story. And I think when we take the time to think of those, that the opportunities that you described with your dad to be a pioneer like that are really inspiring. So thank you for that. So we'd like to welcome you to the ward. And I'm glad we had this chat so that you could introduce yourself. Who knows, Doug might be the bishop by the time we meet again. So we needed to move this along.
All right.
All right. And to those of you who watch this, I hope you have a chance to meet the Chattertons soon, and that this was a good addition to your Sabbath day, and that you have a great Pioneer Day, and remember all of the blessings and the things that came before us to give us the lives that we have today. I will leave with my testimony that I know that I have pioneer ancestors who sacrificed a lot to give me what I have today. And so when I get thinking about things that are tough, I think about the things that the shoulders I'm standing on to get here, and life is pretty good. And I leave that testimony with all of you in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen. We'll see you all soon. Thank you.
Thank you, Bishop.